Is it Tuesday already? Wow, this is quite the news day for Star Wars, as the Bad Batch is just 1 week away. We also have to talk about the fact that Mace Windu could possibly still be alive, according to Samuel L. Jackson. And, of course, Ian McDiarmid also talking about this interview as well. We got a lot to talk about today. This whole Empire Magazine deal, and, of course, a lot of people have seen the first 3 episodes of the Bad Batch, so we're going to talk about all of it today. What's up, guys? It's Mike, the guy who loves Star Wars. So we're going to talk about a ton of stuff today, from the Bad Batch to Mace Windu to Emperor Palpatine to all this stuff, to the sequel trilogy, to the Mandalorian and how it's all connected. We're going to talk about all of it, because some people have seen the first 8 episodes, the whole first half of the season for the Bad Batch Season 3, and they have said that it will blow us out of the water. This could be the best Star Wars animated season so far. Talking about better than Rebels Season 4, talking about better than Clone Wars Season 7, Clone Wars Season 5. We're talking about the best animated Star Wars show yet, which could be insane. I mean, these reports are pretty high. So we'll talk about all of them, and we're going to go over all of it. And, of course, Mace Windu survived. What? I'm making a full-on video about that for tomorrow, and we'll talk about that today as well. So how's everybody doing today on this fine Tuesday afternoon? What's up, chat? Let me open up the chat so I can see what you guys are talking about. I'm very glad, because I'm feeling a lot better today. As you guys remember, I was not feeling great on Saturday stream, but my voice was gone this morning, like completely gone. I could barely even speak, and now it seems to be pretty good. So let's keep it that way. Let's keep it that way, you know? Let's keep it that way. Okay. All right, what's up, everybody? Cole, how we doing? Jeffrey, how we doing? Maggie, what's up? Fearless, how we doing? Derpy Entertainment, Star Wars, Skywalker Academy. How we doing, everybody? Austin, what's up? Okay. So, and I'll get to Cole's message first. He said, wasn't there supposed to be some big news for Star Wars? Empire Magazine saying hello there, mentioned on Thursday. Maybe I'm tripping. No, you're not tripping. You're actually probably walking nice and straight up. But that was this 25th anniversary of the prequel trilogy, and we're getting a lot of interviews from the cast and crew this Thursday. Now, some have been released. We talked about the Hayden Christensen one and what he talked about on Saturday, but we're going to talk about the Mace Windu one, or the Samuel L. Jackson one, and the Ian McDiarmid, or Emperor Palpatine one today, because they're letting all these interviews kind of leak out early so that people get hyped up for the issue that releases on Thursday. This Thursday is going to be a huge day for Star Wars news, because we're getting a ton of interviews from the cast and crew of the prequel trilogy. So Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, Samuel L. Jackson, Liam Neeson, Ian McDiarmid, and others are all getting exclusive interviews 25 years later for the prequel trilogy, how it stood the test of time and how they view their time with the prequel trilogy and what kind of stuff went on behind the scenes. We're going to get a lot of stuff about the prequels on Thursday. So that's going to be a crazy stream on Thursday, so don't miss out on that one. But today we're talking about the Bad Batch and those other things. But we're talking about the Bad Batch today because a lot of people got to see the first 8 episodes, and what they're saying is this is the real deal. This season is the best of the 3 seasons, and it could be the best of any Star Wars animation ever. So let's start up with a poll for today's stream. And that poll is going to say, are you excited for the Bad Batch Season 3? Yes or no, you tell me. Are you excited for the Bad Batch? What's up, Catherine? How we doing? Are you excited for the Bad Batch? Are you excited for the Bad Batch? We have 7 days until the Bad Batch. Now, I'm guessing, we're just guessing right now, that the Bad Batch will come out on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like Ahsoka did over last fall. Now, I cannot tell you if that's 100% confirmed or not, because it hasn't been by Lucasfilm. As of right now, the first release date is next Wednesday. Hopefully that changes to Tuesday, and it's not at 3 in the morning. It's at 9 p.m., but we'll have to wait and see about that. Yes, we will have to wait and see. Wow, only 86% of us are excited. Restart the poll. Oh, Skywalker Academy says, damn it, I was going to click. Oh, no, you clicked no? Damn it. We're not going to restart the poll, but that's okay. We'll leave it. 7 days? I need to start watching season 2. Yeah, you do, Maggie. Get on that. I just finished rewatching the first 2 seasons last week, so I'm all caught up. I'm ready to go. Bad Batch ready. We're going to watch the trailer today to get some hype, and we're, of course, going to go over these reviews. So let's start with the reviews, okay? Let's start with this. By the way, the Bad Batch is trending right now, which is amazing. So is George Lucas, which is also cool. So we're going to go over these two first, and then we're going to go over a little bit more here. Oops. Hang on. 1 second. All right, let's go over this first. Season 3. Boom. Okay. So this is on the tweeters, the Twitter of the X, formerly known as Twitter, I should say. And this is the first reviews for Season 3 of The Bad Batch. Now, they got to see the first 8 episodes, the first half of the season, which is crazy, but let's read them. So the first one is Star Wars Holocron. As you can tell right here, Bad Batch is trending, and so is George Lucas. And he says, let's click on the tweet itself. Oh, whoops. Oh, it just goes over there. Lame. Okay. He says, The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 1 through 8 are phenomenal. Mature tone with a focus of overarching plot over one-off stories. Interesting. We'll get to that in a second. This season ties the entire saga together. From the prequel trilogy to The Mandalorian to The Rise of Skywalker. Omega and Crosshair are the show's heart, and Palpatine has never been scarier. Wow. Okay, so this is quite the review, I must say. Quite the review. Let's break it down sentence by sentence here. So first they say that the first 8 episodes are phenomenal. Great to hear. But mature tone with a focus of overarching plot over one-off stories. So the Bad Batch has been known to have spin-off episodes or filler episodes, whatever you want to call it. Sort of the adventure of the week type episodes. And that's what they're talking about here. There's a very mature tone and an overarching focus throughout the season, even though some of the episodes are some one-off stories, one-off kind of adventures like that. That's what that sentence really means. This season ties the entire saga together from the prequel trilogy to The Mandalorian to The Rise of Skywalker. Now, what does that mean? We can tell a lot from that one sentence right there. From the prequel trilogy to the Mandoverse to The Rise of Skywalker. So let's hang on. Let's go full screen for this. This is important. Talking about The Mandalorian is one thing. But also talking about The Rise of Skywalker is another. We know Palpatine's going to be a very major role in this 3rd season. We know that he's going to be extremely focused on. And Mount Tantus, of course, is his cloning facility. How that's going to connect to The Rise of Skywalker is, of course, we see Palpatine having the whole cloning thing on Exegol. But does that mean that they're saying that this is going to be referring to Exegol in this 3rd season? That we will see some sort of contingency plan put in place years and years and years and years before the sequel trilogy for Palpatine, even years and years before the original trilogy for Palpatine. That'll be very, very cool. Now, let's backtrack a little bit to also tying into The Mandalorian. Tying into The Mandalorian means one thing and one thing only, in my own head at least so far, and that is Grogu. Right now, there's almost, other than the remnant of the Empire, which we haven't gotten into that much, and maybe Thrawn going to Mount Tantus, which we haven't seen yet, the only other connection possible for a connection from the Mandalorian to the Bad Batch Season 3 is Grogu. So this review right here might be confirming or speculating, making us speculate that Grogu could be in this season. Which is quite crazy, because that would, of course, give us a ton of information. If Grogu is at Mount Tantus, or wherever Grogu is, I guess, wherever he is, that shows us what happened with Grogu after Keller and Beck took him from the Jedi Temple. That will be huge. So connecting to the prequel trilogy and The Mandalorian and The Rise of Skywalker is insane. That one sentence alone tells us a lot of information. We're getting a lot of Palpatine cloning in this third season, and it's going to connect to Exegol. It's going to connect to Grogu. It's going to connect to the cloning stuff we see with the remnant of the Empire in The Mandalorian. We could possibly be seeing Dr. Pershing, a young Dr. Pershing, in this third season of The Bad Batch. Okay? What did Austin say? People are going crazy about whatever Austin said. What did Austin say? I hope we get more Palpatine. Oh, okay. Never mind. I appreciate the hearts, guys. I really do. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. Here we go. Fearless says, Holocron told us what to expect, and now I'm even more hyped. I'm very excited. Like, that review right there got me even more excited for sure. Anthony says, Mike, well, all I have to say to that review is I hope these connections to the sequel trilogy are very minor. I'm more interested in the Inquisitorius, though, through the Acolyte of the Beyond. Okay, so let's talk about that. So a lot of fans, like Anthony himself, are going to read that review, hear The Rise of Skywalker, and say, oh no, the sequel trilogy? We're connecting to the sequel trilogy? That's not a good idea. However, I think this is the best possible way to go about this. If you're going to make The Rise of Skywalker better without changing the movie itself, why not start from the beginning, literally all the way back in The Bad Batch Season 3, which takes place over 40 years before The Rise of Skywalker, and start then. Give us what Palpatine's been stirring up that whole time, all the way back at The Bad Batch. And then that'll make The Rise of Skywalker not only feel more deserving, not like having somehow Palpatine returns makes sense, have it always be planned from the beginning. That's what we need to see. So planting the seeds all the way back in The Bad Batch, planting the seeds in The Mandalorian, planting all these seeds all over the place for Palpatine's return is only going to make the sequel trilogy better. In my personal opinion. Now, I know a lot of people hate the sequels so much that they don't even want anything to do with any of it. And I don't think like The Bad Batch is going to go, oh yeah, Palpatine's doing this. And guess what? This is going to refer directly to the sequel trilogy. No, that's not what's going to happen. You're not going to see a Rey in this or Snoke in this. No. You're going to see Palpatine and his plans for cloning continue. Maybe a mention of Exegol. Just like the Death Star plans are in Episode 2 on Geonosis, like you see him in the background, maybe you'll see Exegol in the background in his plans for what's going on there. There'll be a ton of Easter eggs in this third season, let's put it that way, referring to Palpatine's cloning facility, his cloning plans, and all that other stuff as well. Yeah. And this declares The Bad Batch and is the animated branch of the Mandoverse. Well, it's all sort of connected. The Mandalorian's been connected to the Clone Wars because of the Mandalorian War, and it's connected to Rebels because of all the Rebels characters involved, like Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, and others. So, Star Wars has always been connected, from the prequel trilogy to the original trilogy to the sequel trilogy, but the shows themselves have all sort of been really interconnected, and The Mandalorian has continued that story. It started with the Clone Wars. It started with the Mandalorian War and the Clone Wars and all these characters being built up from Ahsoka Tano to Bo-Katan to literally everybody who's introduced in the Clone Wars. Really, a lot of the Jedi do die, but a lot of those characters continue on to Rebels. Rex, Gregor, Wolf, and then of course Ahsoka Tano. And then you get introduced to new characters: Ezra, Kanan, Sabine, Hera, all them. And those characters continue in the Mandoverse. Some of them all the way back from the Clone Wars, like Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, but also newer ones like Ezra, Hera Syndulla, Sabine Wren. So all these characters are sort of getting a full arc from the Clone Wars all the way up until the sequel trilogy. And that's sort of why it's really, really cool. So The Bad Batch isn't the first to do that. No, it's just a continuation of that story. So now you're going to have a through line from the prequel trilogy all the way to the Mandoverse, all the way to the sequels. So you're having all these gaps being filled, from Clone Wars to Bad Batch to Rebels to Mando. And that's a good thing. We want this all to feel connected. It should all feel like the same story being told with new information being added to that story. And new characters. Yeah. Cole says, I just realized that I missed the first 10 minutes of the stream because my screen froze. Oh, damn, Cole. Sorry about that. Fearless says, he probably started building the final order and everything. Yes, so I think we're going to see a lot of Palpatine's plan going on in this third season of The Bad Batch. I appreciate the hearts, guys. I really do. Cole says, will you do Bad Batch watch parties for each episode's release? Yes, Cole. So I am having this little bit of conflict in the middle of the season because I'm going away for like 4 days, and one of those days is a Tuesday and a Wednesday. So I might have to miss one watch party, or I'm going to like do it live on my phone or something. So that 1 week, it's in the middle of the season. So we'll figure that out. But yes, we're doing watch parties for every episode. The premiere is next week. It's 3-episode premiere, and we're going to be doing a watch party for it. This is the last Tuesday stream. The last Tuesday stream. That won't be a prediction stream for the next episode of The Bad Batch. Next week will be a prediction stream, and we'll talk about all the predictions that we have for the first 3 episodes of The Bad Batch, for The Bad Batch in general. That'll be next Tuesday's stream. So this is the last regular Tuesday stream that we're going to have for 10-ish weeks, something like that. So for a long time. Yeah, watch parties are really fun. The watch parties we did for The Bad Batch Season 2. Not a lot of people were there. That's okay. Then we did them for The Mandalorian Season 3. More and more people began to show up, which was nice. And then by Ahsoka, we were breaking records every week. The prediction streams were breaking records. The watch party streams were breaking records. We were breaking records all over the place for the personal channel. So the record is still held at like 54, I think. Viewers at the same time, 54 viewers at the same time, and that was for Ahsoka's 5th episode. Of course, the biggest episode there was, and yeah, that's where the record was. When are the watch parties? So the watch parties are directly when it drops. So if it is at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like it should be, then those watch parties will start at probably like 8:45 or 8:30, and then we'll just get hyped up for a couple minutes before, and then once it gets released, we'll start it together and we'll watch it together. Yeah. Anthony says, unless George Lucas has a direct connection to how this nonsense gets explained, I'm not interested. Well, Anthony, it's going to be explained regardless. Skywalker Academy says, that's exactly why we got Somehow Palpatine Returns. It gives a shock factor and tells the story in the coming content in the past. As much as I understand that, Skywalker Academy, the fact that it wasn't planned from the beginning and now we have to sort of backtrack and fill in the context in the past is the problem that a lot of people have with Somehow Palpatine Returns. Because if it was sort of seeded in there beforehand, if The Bad Batch came out maybe before the sequels, and we got some seeds of that, and then we got some more seeds in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, but we didn't get any of that. Palpatine was never going to arrive until he did. And that's why a lot of fans don't really like the Somehow Palpatine Returns line. And I like that we are exploring this, because someday I think that Somehow Palpatine Returns line will make sense. And that's what I'm hoping. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping. Catherine says, I wonder how this will relate to Mount Tantus. Well, Mount Tantus is going to be like the main place in this 3rd season. We're going to get a lot of Omega and Crosshair on Mount Tantus. We're going to get a lot of Palpatine on Mount Tantus. It's more of a question of, is Mount Tantus going to blow up at the end of this season? Is it going to survive? Is Thrawn going to come to Mount Tantus in The Mandalorian? Hang on, I just had an idea, and this just came to me, so let's get this out together, okay? What do you guys think? And I said this before, I think last week in a stream. Thrawn being in The Bad Batch. Because if we go back to this tweet here, Mario, what's up? From Spain? Oh, that's pretty cool. Where's everybody from tonight? How we doing, everybody across the world? All right, let's go back to this. So this says, from the prequel trilogy to The Mandalorian to The Rise of Skywalker. But let's focus here on to The Mandalorian. We just got introduced to Thrawn in the Mandoverse. And Thrawn makes the most amount of sense to show up on Mount Tantus. It would make sense because it would show us that Thrawn does know what Mount Tantus is. He would know that it's a cloning facility. He would know how important it is to Palpatine. He would know what's going on there. And it would allow us to actually see Thrawn go to Mount Tantus in the Mandoverse. It makes sense. Because we're like, oh, we just saw him go there in The Bad Batch. It makes perfect sense that he knows where that is. Perfect. Wow, that would be crazy. What if we see Thrawn in this 3rd season? So we could see Thrawn in this 3rd season. Or we could see Grogu in this. Something has to connect to The Mandalorian. And that means that a character from The Mandalorian has to show up in this Bad Batch 3rd season. And the only 2 options that I see right now are Thrawn and Grogu. I mean, maybe Moff Gideon, but he'd be very young at this point. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, let's go back to these reports, these tweets, and let's break down the second one. Okay, let's do it. Actually, let's get to the last two sentences of this. Omega and Crosshair are the heart of the show. This is good to hear because we saw the clip from the first episode that Crosshair and Omega will be the main sort of characters coming in this first 3 episodes. But what's the greatest, other than, of course, the connection between these 3, the greatest sentence of this whole thing is Palpatine has never been scarier. We've seen Palpatine in Star Wars through a ton of stuff. From him being a senator to him killing Mace Windu, or did he? We'll talk about that later. To him controlling the entire galaxy. Him in Rebels is pretty scary. Him in Return of the Jedi is pretty scary. Palpatine's been scary in Star Wars. But Holocron here is claiming that Palpatine has never been scarier. What is he going to do? Is he going to be going around killing people? Is Palpatine going to be going around using Force Lightning? What is going on here? What is going on? What do you guys think? Is Palpatine going to be fighting people, killing people, like doing bad things? Why would Palpatine be scary? In what world would Palpatine be scary in this 3rd season of The Bad Batch? I don't know, but that's a very, very interesting line, and they made sure that it was the last line that they put in their review. Fascinating. Fascinating. But let's get to this second review coming from Star Wars Explained, okay? They said, we got to watch the first half of The Bad Batch Season 3. Can't go into a ton of details now, of course, but it's fast-paced, full of great action and emotional character moments. If you liked the first 2 seasons, I can't imagine you'd be disappointed. So this is more so saying that it's very well, it does very well for the character arcs of the characters involved with the first 2 seasons of The Bad Batch. As this other report talked about the connections to The Mandalorian, the Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine, and all this stuff, this report is more talking about the characters from The Bad Batch themselves go on very good emotional character arcs, and if you're a fan of those first 2 seasons, you're going to really like this 3rd season. So that's good to hear as well. Yeah, for sure. So, wait, hang on, let me go full screen for a second. So there's some other reviews that I wanted to get here. Let's read this. Okay. Yes, we read that one. Okay, so there's a few more. So let's read this article from Screen Rant, and then we'll read the other ones that come with it. The Bad Batch Season 3 review promises a chilling Star Wars story that binds the entire saga together. A chilling Star Wars story that binds the entire saga together is a great way to put this. So let's read it. First reviews for The Bad Batch Season 3. Here we go. Social media reviews for The Bad Batch Season 3 promise a mature TV show. Mature is very key here. Everybody talks about how Star Wars animation is it's for kids. It's made for kids. Oh, it's just because it's animated, it's made for kids. No, it's not. But let's read on. With stunning connections to the wider Star Wars saga, which is great, a spiritual successor to Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars The Bad Batch tells the story of Clone Force 99, a group of mutant clones living during the dark times of the Empire's reign. The dramatic end to The Bad Batch Season 2 set up the 3rd and final season in which the clones struggle to rescue one of their own from the Empire, Omega. Critics have seen the first 8 episodes of The Bad Batch's Season 3, and the social media embargo has lifted, meaning that they are now making their reviews known. Exciting responses to The Bad Batch Season 3 are uniformly positive. Sure. Praising Lucasfilm's latest animation for its maturity and smart connections to the wider franchise. It looks as though Lucasfilm has saved the best for last in this show, which is great because you guys know I've been talking about it. The first 2 seasons of The Bad Batch were good. They were good for the Clone Force 99, but they didn't really have much connection to the greater Star Wars story. They didn't really have much meaning to the greater Star Wars story, but what they're really nailing down in this 3rd season is the connection and the great and the more so the, I wouldn't say connection, but I'd more so say the effects of The Bad Batch Season 3 have some actual effect on the greater Star Wars story. So here's what the critics said. We read holocrons here, so we'll go to the next one. Tessa Smith from Screen Rant celebrated the show's high stakes and stunning visuals. This is what Tessa said. The Bad Batch Season 3 has already given me literal chills multiple times. That's great to hear. I've seen the first 8 episodes, and if they continue this way, I will be a happy camper. Stakes are high, visuals are stunning, action is intense, and treachery is abound. Cannot wait for more. And of course, she posts it with Palpatine. People seem to be really hyping up Palpatine. He's going to be heavily involved in this 3rd season. Jordan Mason of Cinelinx was initially disinterested in Star Wars The Bad Batch, but he has now is completely sold. He's even gone as far as to suggest that this has become his favorite Star Wars animated series. That's crazy. When I think about the Clone Wars and I think about Rebels, I think about some of the best Star Wars content there is. I think Rebels is the most underrated piece of Star Wars content ever. I'll fight till the end of my days to get people to watch Rebels. Season 3 and 4 are some of the best Star Wars content ever, and the Clone Wars speaks for itself. Saying that this could be the best of the Star Wars animated shows is wild. So this is what Jordan had to say. Was able to watch the first 8 episodes of The Bad Batch Season 3, and folks, this season ain't messing around. It's firing on all cylinders and pretty cemented this as my favorite Star Wars animated show. Wow. It whips a whole lot of ass. That's pretty cool to see. And again, he shows Hunter, Omega, and Palpatine. For Dias of Inverse, Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3 feels oddly like the end of an era. This is what she had to say. Dang it, I missed the Bad Batch social embargo, but it's much fun. It really feels like we've watched both Omega and this series itself grow and mature. Oddly feels like the end of an era, but in a good way. Shout out to Kenner Music, as always, knocking it out of the park. This is cool because he's the guy who did... Oh, shnikes. All right, this is the guy who did the music for the Clone Wars, he did the music for Rebels, and now he did the music for the Ahsoka show, and the Bad Batch, of course. So that's good to hear as well, that the music is, of course, always good. But what she says here, which is pretty interesting, is Omega growing and maturing. Don't click on it. Okay. Omega growing and maturing. Dave Filoni has gotten one thing really, really well, and that is creating characters and having them go on incredible arcs. Ahsoka Tano starts off as a whiny little baby in Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 1, or at least in the Clone Wars movie, I should say. And then by the end of the Clone Wars, she's like one of the greatest heroes ever. She's no longer whiny. And that's kind of what Omega was at the beginning too. It's kind of what Luke Skywalker was at the beginning too. But Omega is very similar. She's like kind of an annoying character. You don't really like her at first. And then she just grows on you. And by this 3rd season, she's going to go on this complete arc, which will be pretty damn cool. Ashley says, from the Ashland Company, I guess, she praises it for the high stakes and incredible animation and surprising Easter eggs and cameos. Okay, this is where things get really interesting. The Bad Batch is back, and our favorite defective and effective clones are delivering a spectacle fans are going to love. High stakes and incredible animation, plus Easter eggs, cameos, and other surprises. It's an epic ride so far, and I'm not ready to say goodbye. So, this is interesting. She's the first person to mention Easter eggs, cameos, and other surprises. Now, of course, they can't spoil the show for us, so a lot of people probably didn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. But she does. She says that there's Easter eggs, of course, which we can always assume that they're going to be, but she says cameos and other surprises. Now, we know from the trailer that we see Rex, we see Wolf, we see Asajj Ventress, of course, Fennec Shand, Cad Bane, but I'm sure we're not going to see all those characters in the first 8 episodes, and we're going to probably see a lot more. I don't know. Cameos, like I mentioned before, we could see Grogu, we could see Thrawn. I really don't know. Like, what cameos do you guys want to see from this 3rd season? Or who do you expect is most likely to show up in this 3rd season? Who would be on Mount Tantus? I think Thrawn is probably my best guess, but we'll see. Oh, and that's it. Okay. So far, there hasn't been a single negative comment on social media suggesting Star Wars The Bad Batch is indeed ending in the best possible way. That is true. There has yet to be one negative one. Like usually when there's critics, they usually give out negative ones as well, and some people don't give it such high praise. But so far, so good. And honestly, it just got me so much more excited for this third season. It is only a week away, and really, it's right around the freaking corner. I'm so excited for this third season, and the fact that these people are hyping up the first 8 episodes so much, I can't imagine what's in the next 8 after that. So I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. Let's go check out the schedule again, so we can really see what we're talking about here. Star Wars: The Bad Batch. Let's check out this schedule really quickly. Damn it, where is it? Damn. Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to get to too. So we'll get to that too. Actually, let's read this first. Okay, let's read this first. So, what has happened so far on the on Star Wars: The Bad Batch? So this was coming from StarWars.com themselves. This is to get people like ready for the Bad Batch's third season. So let's read this really quickly to get us all hyped up and ready. What's interesting is they put this photo as the cover photo, meaning possibly a return of the character of Gungi. A lot of people thought when we read that the last episode was going to be called "The Cavalry Has Arrived," that we're going to see a lot of familiar faces trying to come help Omega that we saw throughout the first 2 seasons. And maybe one of those familiar faces is Gungi because they saved his life, and Omega and him had that very nice moment under the tree together. Because Omega's probably Force sensitive. All right, let's read what StarWars.com has to tell us. Ready your squadron. Star Wars: The Bad Batch is returning for its 3rd and final season on February 21st, only on Disney+. Need to refresh your databanks about every twist and turn of the past 2 seasons? StarWars.com has got you covered. There's plenty, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Who are the Bad Batch? We know who the Bad Batch are. We don't need that. Season 1. All right, let's read the brief description of Season 1. Actually, it doesn't seem very brief at all, does it now? Oh, it is. Okay. Okay, let's read it. During what seems to be a relatively routine mission to a planet Kalar, the Bad Batch found themselves in the middle of Order 66. Season 1 starts out with a bang, let's be honest, with Caleb Dune and all this stuff. So the clones around them began turning on the Jedi Commander. It was what's Kanan's master's name? What the hell's her name? Help me out in the chat. What's Kanan Jarrus's master's name? Why can't I think of his name? Somebody help me out in the chat. What's her name? Dies in the first episode of the Bad Batch. What's her name? Depa Balapa. Thank you. Yes. Depa Balapa. There we go. Depa Balapa. Got it. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. Okay. The clones began to turn on the Jedi Commander, Depa Balapa, attempting to kill them. But because the Bad Batch had been genetically altered, their inhibitor chips planted in each of them did not function according to Emperor Palpatine's grand plan. They helped the Jedi Caleb Dune escape and shakenly returned to their home planet of Kamino. And you guys have to remember that Crosshair didn't really go over with that too well. And we won't read this whole thing. We just got to get to the good stuff at the end, I guess. So, who was in the Bad Batch? Captain Rex, of course. All right, this might be interesting because they're reminding you of the characters that were in it, probably keeping you ready for Season 3. So these characters might appear in Season 3. Rex, of course, who was from the Clone Wars. Fee, who is the love interest for Tech in that second season. Senator Chuchi. Yeah, so the senator from Pantora. She is one of the fiercest advocates for the clones across the galaxy, attempting to secure benefits and rights. That was a lot of Season 2's arc with Senator Chuchi. So we might actually see her again because she could die. She's not involved in anything else after this season. Nala Se, who is going to be very important in the cloning efforts of what's going on Mount Tantus. Nala Se is probably the greatest cloner in the galaxy right now, so she's going to be very important in this third season. AZ, who's, of course, the droid who saves them in the first season and then is around in the second season, but I don't think she's that important in the second season. Mayday, who is this loyal soldier of the Republic and then the Galactic Empire, who is paired with Crosshair on his dangerous mission, and that's when I think Mayday dies. So Mayda's dead, so he probably won't be in this third season. But that's what causes Crosshair to turn back to the light. Rampart. So Rampart was arrested in the second season. Palpatine kind of threw him under the bus. That was pretty cool. Cad Bane, who's going to be in this third season, we know that confirmed. He'll be in the third season. Dr. Hemlock, who's in charge of the cloning efforts on Mount Tantus. Hera Syndulla and Chopper. This is an interesting one. Do you guys think Hera's going to be in this third season? It's definitely possible that she could be, but I don't know. Like, if again, we're talking about familiar faces from the first 2 seasons. Gungi was. They saved Gungi. But also Caleb Dune or Kanan Jarrus was as well. And Hera Syndulla and Kanan Jarrus end up falling in love. What if they meet for the first time in the Bad Batch Season 3? That'd be crazy. We know Fennec's going to be in this third season. We saw her in the trailer. Oh, the sisters from the Clone Wars Season 7, they could be in it as well. Gungi, I think, will be in this third season as well. Gregor, I think, will be as well. We saw Krennic. We saw Saw Gerrera. Yeah, we saw all these people. Commander Cody. I think Commander Cody will make an appearance in this third season. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So, Season 3. There are so many questions left to answer for fans going into the third season. Who is the mysterious... Oh, Emery, yes. So, Omega's clone sister. Also created from the genetic template of Jango Fett. What is really happening on Mount Tantus, and what will happen to Crosshair and Omega? All of this and so much more will be revealed during Season 3 of The Bad Batch, kicking off February 21st on Disney Plus with 3-episode premiere. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. They kind of threw in Omega's sister last minute in that last season, so we'll see what happens with that. What do we think? Are we excited for this second season? Third season, I should say. Are we excited? The poll says 91% of us are excited. But let's catch up on some chats before we move on here. Oh, wow. We got a lot of chats. Hang on. Let me get back up here. Okay. Wait, what? Where were we? Oh, found it. Okay. Found it. Cole says, I guess I finally need to watch the second season. Cole, you haven't watched the second season either? What's going on here? Mario Martin says, hi from Spain. What's up, Mario? Hi from America. A country of its own. Germany. Nice. Right here in the west, in the middle of the West USA. Okay. Anthony says, let's all remember, George Lucas has stated that the Emperor is dead and was never coming back. He said as much during the release of the sequel trilogy. Only a hologram exists. That's true that George Lucas said that, but George Lucas has said some things that he's gone back on a lot in the past. And Palpatine coming back in the sequels was not the issue. It's how they went about it. Palpatine always returned. In Legends, he always returned. In different, like all different types of Legends. Everything post Episode 6, Palpatine always returned. And it was a great story. With the sequel trilogy, he returned, and it just wasn't done correctly, so it was a little bit off. I still think they can fix it. Yeah. Thrawn would be awesome to see in this third season, for sure. Maggie says, random question. Is the lightsaber behind you Obi-Wan's or Luke's? Great question. This is Obi-Wan's. This is Obi-Wan's from Episode 3. This is Obi-Wan's from Episode 3. This is the Disney one from Galaxy's Edge, I believe. I didn't go to Galaxy's Edge to get it, but I got it online. I actually got it as a gift, but yeah, it's pretty damn cool. It's screen accurate, it's supposed to be. And then you like twist this off to get the blade on because it doesn't fit in this tiny thing, obviously. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, for sure. For sure. We still haven't gotten to the point on the channel where we can give away a lightsaber. We're just not bringing in that much yet. But at some point, that's the goal. The memberships, those who are members, appreciate all you guys so much. We do giveaways at the end of every month, so one's coming up in a few weeks here. And hopefully at some point, those giveaways will be lightsabers, which will be awesome. Yeah. Cole says, I'd love to see Thrawn in the Bad Batch and Andor. Well, Andor is a little different because Andor is going to lead right into Rogue One, and by then, Thrawn's already gone. Thrawn has already been sent into Peridia. I'm absolutely certain that Tony Gilroy wants no part of George Filoni and Timothy Zahn's characters. He doesn't seem to want his story overlapping with all of it. Yeah and no. I think a lot of Tony Gilroy has a lot of connections in Andor Season 1, but those weren't really put in there from him. So he's going to have some people overseeing his work, you know? Crosshair survives. Fearless. It's not happening. Skywalker Academy says, let's all remember that George changed the story in the middle of filming in the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and he wrote a treatment for the sequel trilogy, which JJ and Ryan used as the seeds to their story with a little misdirection and ambiguity with shock factor. Yes, I mean, the story always changed. Luke and Leia kissing in the first, in Empire Strikes Back was not planned that they were brother and sister, obviously. So the plan was always changing. We'll put it that way. Yeah. Cole says, entirely possible that they won't include Thrawn for that reason, but he has already included Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera. That's true, but Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera are also both seen in Rogue One, which Tony Gilroy worked on as well. So, I don't know. We'll see. Fearless says, some of the best Star Wars is animated. I agree with that. I think, yeah, 100%. Yeah. 100%. Ugh. Cole says, I do disagree, but I am glad that you can enjoy the sequels. I like the first two, but as a storyteller, I didn't like the disjointed nature of the ending. I wish I could love them the same way as some other people do. I agree with that. I would love to love the sequels, and it's very hard for me to do. I love The Force Awakens, but the next two just kind of are very off to me. I can watch them and like have a fun time doing so, but I just can't enjoy them when I'm looking at the greater story of Star Wars right now. I still think that they can be fixed, for lack of a better word. Yeah. Yeah. Austin Snow says, I can't wait until season 3. Me either. Fearless says, I'm with you. I'm right there with you on Rebels, Mike. That show is awesome. I agree. Speaking of good Star Wars music, Kenner has brought to the franchise. I would love to see Michael Giannaccio do the music for all the future Star Wars movies. He's incredibly versatile and did a fantastic job with Rogue One. Oh, he did the Rogue One music. Yeah, that guy was good. Yeah, it seems like John Williams isn't going to be coming back to do the Mando movie, the Rey movie, and the Dawn of the Jedi movie, so they are going to have to find somebody else or other people to do the music for Star Wars. The music for Star Wars has been so iconic for 40 plus years that it's going to be very difficult to do. I think Ludwig Göransson, or however you say his name, Garrison, has done an incredible job with The Mandalorian. Like, that was the first sort of Star Wars to get a different creator than John Williams on the music, and he knocked it out of the park with, of course, the theme to The Mandalorian. But I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Kenner has done an incredible job. From Clone Wars to Rebels to Ahsoka now. Incredible. Anthony says, if Palpatine's more evil than ever, more reason to see Inquisitors, Dark Troopers, the Sovereign Protectors, the Shadow Guard, and the Prophets of the Dark Side. I don't think we'll see all those people, but we might see the Inquisitors and maybe even Vader. But the comment said Palpatine is more scary than ever. So I think we're going to see some Palpatine in action. We'll see some Palpatine in the Senate. I'm guessing Palpatine on Mount Tantus. But I wonder if we'll see him in action. Skywalker Academy says the Inquisitors are likely still being trained by Vader at this point. Some of the projects that Palpatine's contingency come to light in this era. So yeah, we might be getting to see a lot of that soon. I think we'll see some Exegol planned stuff for sure. Yeah. Maybe the Seventh Sister will show up. I think the Inquisitors could make an appearance. Or maybe even just be alluded to, but I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. Is Vader alive at this point? Yeah. He's definitely alive at this point. He's alive and well, and he is sort of the scariest figure in the galaxy at this point, because he's hunting down all the Jedi, and he's really ruling the galaxy with an iron fist. Yeah. Wookie Talks, what's up? Says, I'll eventually get it on this stupid phone. What? I don't know what you're talking about. A lot more people know what is going on than the grifters would like to think. Controversy sells? I'm confused. Oh, yeah, controversy sells, obviously. And clearly I'm not trying to build a big channel over here, or else I'd be just making controversy. But I'm not. So I'm trying to keep a positive Star Wars community over here, and that seems to be working just fine, I guess, as we are coming close to actually 9,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. I think my channel easily would have grown a lot faster if I decided the route of controversy. But I'm not going to try to keep the Star Wars fandom and make it more divided than ever. Like, that's not my goal here. I'm actually trying to help the Star Wars fandom by finding a positive community and creating a stronger community of Star Wars fans, where people can come to talk about Star Wars and not have to get shit on for their personal opinions about Star Wars, whether they like it or they don't, and have a civilized conversation without controversy. But yes, controversy does sell, that's for sure. Cole says, I appreciate the way that they are setting up Mount Tantus. It stands on its own and also ties into the heir to the Empire from what I've seen. Yes, so it does tie into Legends, but it also could tie into The Mandalorian as well, which is very exciting. Yeah. Anthony says, Mike, I actually feel that Senator Chuchi will end up being rather significant character in the Star Wars universe, just because we haven't seen her so far. Doesn't mean that she can't show up even more. I agree with that, but it's a possibility that she could die because she doesn't show up in anything else. That's kind of just what I'm saying there. Yeah. She is a cool character, and she is trying to fight for the clones, so seeing her more, I wouldn't be opposed to it. You missed Senator Chuchi's appearances? What do you mean? Oh, I didn't. Fearless says, do you think that we will get to see Vader? The Emperor shows up. I think they never show up together in these shows. Yeah, I think Palpatine usually just sends Vader as his sort of proxy to kill people. So I don't think the two of them will be there together, maybe. But I do think that Vader will show up. I do. I'm fully convinced that he will. Just because if the Bad Batch... If Mount Tantus is so important to Palpatine, and if the Bad Batch are such a threat to Mount Tantus, then it only makes sense that Vader would be sent there to deal with the Bad Batch. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I do hope we do get to see Vader in this third season, for sure. Yeah. Austin says, I'm so hyped for this third season. I'm almost done with the second season. That's awesome. Fearless says, and that's why we love this channel, Mike. I appreciate you, Fearless. That's kind of why I think a lot of you tune into this stream, is because it's more of a positive community here rather than going to listen to somebody just shit on Star Wars for an hour or create controversy. You'd rather come sit here and celebrate Star Wars and have fun with Star Wars. I think that's kind of the sales pitch, if it were, of this channel, and that's kind of why I like doing this. That's why I stream 3 times a week. That's why I like to talk Star Wars, and that's why we have funner conversations. It's a word, look it up, on these streams. Yeah, I appreciate that, Fearless. I really do. I guarantee that we will see Lord Vader in his glorious darkness. I just hope it doesn't end up executing our Wookiee I hope he doesn't end up executing our Wookiee Padawan Jedi. That would suck. Imagine Vader comes in and kills Gungi. Oh, that would suck so bad. I hope that's not what happens, actually. So, yeah. Ian says, I saw a fan edit trailer that did include Vader today. Well, yeah, it's a fan edit, so can't really go off that. Maybe Vader will kill Hunter, Wrecker, and Omega. I don't think Omega's going to die in this season, but we'll see. We shall see. All right, let's get into some other news here. Let's talk about the 25th anniversary of the prequel trilogy and how they're announcing all this crazy interviews with the cast of the prequels, the crew of the prequels, and we're going to get a lot more of that on Thursday, but we do have an interview from Samuel L. Jackson. So let's read this first. This is coming straight from Empire Magazine with an exclusive article about their interview with Samuel L. Jackson, about how Mace Windu is not dead. Actually, let's pull this up before we get into this article. So I'm going to end that previous poll with 91% of you. Let's see if the math is mathing. 91% of you, the math is not mathing, are excited for the Bad Batch, which is good, which is great. So let's do this next poll first. Do you, oh, that's not typing, okay. Do you think Mace Windu is alive? Yes or no? You tell me first before we read this article, and then we're going to read it and see if your opinion has changed. Let's see. Wookie Talk says, it is, and I appreciate the positivity. I'm here to give the negative people a little more perspective. Peacefully, of course. There you go. Peacefully, of course. Yes. Yeah, that's kind of the whole gist of this place. Positivity. Maggie says, this is the best Star Wars channel I've found. Oh, Maggie, I really do appreciate that. Just made my day. More channels like this need to be made where for all movies and shows are appreciated from the fans and respected. I agree with that. I think all fandoms need a sort of positive place to go to talk about their fandom and talk about the stuff that's coming out. Because even when something really, really good is going on in Star Wars, people still shit on it. Like episode 5 of Ahsoka, where Anakin comes back and we get the whole world between worlds sequence and Ahsoka the White and all that stuff, the Purgle. Like people still shit on that episode. It's like, what are you watching? What are you watching? I don't understand it, but that's why we have this community here, you know? It was so funny. It was so funny. At the end of our last Thursday stream, somebody tried to come in this chat and start talking shit. And I set up the chat in a way where like certain words I think are not able to come through. And one of those words is a body part of a male human being. I'm sure you can guess what I'm talking about. And they spammed it in the chat, like absolutely just spammed it. And it came up for me on this feed because I have 2 feeds going here, but it didn't make it through because it's censored. And it was so funny because the person tried to come in and try to be funny and try to like spam message me and all these bad words and whatever. And it just didn't even come through. And I was like, that is hilarious. One person who's trying to come in and ruin the fun and they can't even get through. Like that is so, it's just perfect. It's perfect. It's awesome. Oh, that is so sick. Your pal Joe, what's up, has the 6-month badge. He's the first person to get to the 6-month badge. That is so cool. It's Vader's lightsaber. Look in the chat. Look at Joe's badge. That is sick. That looks so good. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That is so cool. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says, it's actually 100% because clicking no was an accident. Oh, I get you. Yeah. Anthony says, I really want Gungi to be one of the 45 survivors of Order 66 who gets to meet both Ahsoka and the Skywalkers. It would be cool because Gungi can live for a long time. He can live like another 200 years. So he could be alive during the events of the sequel trilogy. He could even be involved in Rey's new Jedi Order, which would be cool. I love me a good Wookiee Jedi. Pal Joe says, what's up? I totally think Mace is alive. What's up, Joe? That badge is so sick. I can't get over it. It's so cool. And then he said, yo, finally got the 6-month badge. I appreciate it, Joe. You're the first ever member, and the fact that you came on for 6 months and still are on for 6 months later is crazy. It's incredible, and I appreciate all the support. Cole says, I want Mace Windu to be alive. Do I actually think he's alive? I'm guessing not, but I really want him to be alive. That's kind of where I'm at. Do I want Mace Windu to come back and give us some awesome, cool stuff with Samuel L. Jackson? Yes. But do I think that's likely or smart or the right thing to do? Probably not. But let's get into why I think that that's what's going on here. Could he be one of the cameos of the Bad Batch Season 3? Let's talk about that. We'll talk about that. Yeah. And your pal Joe says, it does look fire. I've been waiting for it. Let's go. Yeah, that 6-month badge is sick. All right, let's get into this article. Samuel L. Jackson wants a Disney Plus show and for Mace Windu, for Mace Windu, and says that he's not. dead. All right, let's get into this article. I'm working on a full-on video on this right now. It'll drop tomorrow morning. This is awesome. This is crazy. This is crazy. All right. Ever since he first popped up in The Phantom Menace, Mace Windu has been one of the baddest baddest Jedi Masters in the business. Quite literally, in fact, Samuel L. Jackson has the letters BMF etched into the hilt of his lightsaber he kept. Do you think if you buy Mace Windu's lightsaber at Galaxy's Edge, it says BMF on it? I doubt it. And so since we've never actually saw him perish, there have long been rumors and wishes from fans that maybe, just maybe, he didn't die in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Sure, his hand was sliced off by Anakin, and he was seriously sizzled by Palpatine's Force lightning before he was flung from a window into the Coruscant sky. But in the Star Wars galaxy, is that really enough to kill the coolest Jedi? Is that really enough to kill the coolest Jedi? So I actually say this in my video that's coming out tomorrow. But isn't it like the greatest story writing ever from George Lucas to create a character named Mace Windu and then have him die by falling out a window? Window? Like, how did we not see this coming before, guys? Come on. Well, not according to Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson. For the new issue of Empire, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the prequel trilogy, we fired off a few questions about the galaxy far, far away to the man himself, and he responded with a series of brief, empathetic messages. In all caps, by the way. Most notably, he had 3 words to say on Mace Windu's death scene. Quote, "He's not dead." In all caps with 3 exclamation points. Easy for me to say. That settles it then. 2 more words for sure that stoked fans' imaginations as well. On the subject of what he would want to do with Mace Windu-centric Disney Plus series, Jackson responded, everything. Yes. So there you have it. Samuel L. Jackson wants a Mace Windu show as much as we do. Wow. So obviously he's the actor who played Mace Windu. So he's gonna want more of that character. But would you guys want a Mace Windu Disney Plus show? And if so, what the hell would that be about? What would it be about? Tell me in the chat. Jackson last popped up as Windu for a brief voice role in Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, talking to Rey in her final moments on Exegol, alongside a host of other Jedi voices. He was one of the ones that told her to rise. And Mace Windu fans are currently getting a new adventure of the legendary Jedi in 4 issues of Star Wars comics, Star Wars Mace Windu, set 10 years prior to The Phantom Menace. The first issue of which arrived last week. Perhaps we will see Windu on the big screen, again in live action, as will be as the Force wills it. As will be as the Force wills it, I guess. So this comes out on Thursday, the full article. So read Empire's full interviews with Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Liam Neeson, Ian McDermott, Samuel L. Jackson, and Brian Bliss, Matt Doran, and more in a Star Wars Prequels 25th anniversary issue. Also inside the issue, we'll revisit iconic sequences with producer Rick McCullum, stunt coordinator Nick Gillard, and concept design artist Ian McCraig, breaking down the pod race, Geonosis battle, and Mustafar duel. We will get a closer look at some rare scene concept art from across the galaxy and speak with blah, 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 blah. Okay, that comes out on February 15th, which is this Thursday. So in 2 days, this full issue comes out, and we get to get all these articles, all these behind-the-scenes stuff, all this concept art, like a ton of stuff. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, with Mace Windu himself, Samuel L. Jackson, saying that he wants Mace Windu to return. So let's read this article before we get into what the chat is saying. Mace Windu is not dead. This is coming from Star Wars Newsnet, according to Samuel Jackson. So we just read this bit. Following Empire Magazine's cover reveal last week, the publication has released snippets from its interviews with various cast members, including one with Samuel L. Jackson, where he claims that Mace Windu is still alive. The famed actor also expresses his desire to make a new Disney Plus show centered on the revered Jedi Master. Last week, Empire Magazine unveiled its cover for the April edition, which was this, of course, the 25th anniversary of the prequels. But like we said here, much like his Star Wars character, Samuel L. Jackson was short but impactful with his words. In the small part of the interview that they shared, he, of course, claimed that he is not dead. And when asked what he would want with the Mace Windu Disney Plus show, he replied with everything. Okay. Whether or not Disney or Lucasfilm will respond to the call remains to be seen. However, the character's popularity has certainly not slowed down in recent years. Just last week, Marvel released a new comic series titled Star Wars Mace Windu, focusing on the character before The Phantom Menace. They reviewed the issue. I scored the first issue a 8.5 out of 10, pointing out that the comic's action and characterizations were spot on. There is also a new novel by writer Stephen Barnes titled Star Wars The Glass Abyss that spotlights Mace Windu, coming out on August 6th of 2024. Finally, acclaimed Star Wars writer John Jackson Miller returns this April with a new novel titled Star Wars The Living Force, which I know Anthony has been looking forward to a whole lot. Set 1 year before The Phantom Menace, and will also feature Mace Windu. With this year marking the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace, fans can most likely expect more interviews and featuring of the cast members of the prequel trilogy. There are also other projects like Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red that's coming out very soon, I guess. Oh, that was a comic as well. Yeah. Okay. So that's what the deal is. What do you guys think? Is Mace Windu alive or not? Is Samuel L. Jackson claiming that Mace Windu is still alive enough to give us a Mace Windu show? Is Disney, if you're listening, and we know that you are, should we be telling them to make a Mace Windu show? Mace Windu is a fan favorite character. He has been since he hit the screen 25 years ago. But is it good to bring his character back? After all these years, after his death, where he gets his arm chopped off by Anakin, he gets electrocuted by Palpatine and thrown out the window on one of the highest buildings on Coruscant, falling to his death. Do you think that he could have survived that? What do we think, Chad? What do we think? Let's see. Cole says, I want Mace to be alive, but do I actually think he's alive? I'm guessing no. But I really believe that he could. Could he be a cameo in the Bad Batch? That's a pretty good question. Could he be a cameo in the Bad Batch? If you're going to have Mace survive, why not bring him in? Why not have him in the Bad Batch? Why not? You know? Perfect. Jeffrey just made a perfect point. Amazing. Hey, Mike, if Mace is back, give him Boba in Season 2. And now, you see your own POV could lead to a potential Season 2. Yes, 100%. Having Mace Windu survive would lead to a Book of Boba Fett Season 2. It would lead to a Mace Windu show in between the prequels and the original trilogy, but it would also lead to a second season of Boba, where he's trying to hunt down the guy who chopped off his dad's head. That'd be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. Your pal Joe says, I love the community and the content and love supporting Mike. You're an awesome dude. Keep up the sick content. I'm loving it. I'm loving it too, Joe, and I appreciate that a whole lot. I really do. Cole says, to be fair, Samuel L. Jackson has been teasing Mace is alive since that movie came out. True, but now he's physically saying that he is not dead. He said he is not dead, or he said he is not dead, in all caps. And this is a very public, exclusive thing that Lucasfilm and Disney had to okay. They didn't just let this out there. They had to okay this. So it's possible that there might be some talks going on behind the scenes that we could get Mace Windu back. Fearless says, well, Mace could have very well survived when he fell out that window because with a chopped off hand, he could have fallen onto a speeder that just passed by and survived. I go into this in my video too. Coruscant has millions, if not billions, of speeders or shuttles going around the planet at all times. You're telling me that Mace couldn't have fell onto one of them? We see it with Anakin in Attack of the Clones, where he says, well, if you'll excuse me, and he jumps off the side of the ship. It's one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars. It's very Anakin-esque of him in that movie. And he falls. He falls like this, woo, right down all the ships flying by him on Coruscant, and he survives. You see Ahsoka, when she's jumping out on the Siege of Mandalore, and she goes from ship to ship to ship, slicing down these Mandalorians out on her way down. If she can survive that, you're telling me that Mace Windu, even with an arm cut off, because we've seen so many characters in Star Wars get their arms cut off or their hands cut off and survived. Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, Count Dooku until he got his head chopped off moments later. Even Darth Maul gets cut in half and he survives. And Darth Maul even falls down a very, very far place. Luke Skywalker falls down on Cloud City. He falls very far. People fall all the time from very high places. Mace Windu surviving is not the craziest theory. My problem with it is, where was he? Why would he not come back and make his whole identity trying to kill Anakin and Palpatine, save the galaxy, and also get back at them for what they did to him, chopping off his arm and then throwing him out a window? Like, you'd think that he would make it his only mission to get them back, or kill them at least, to save the galaxy and to get back at them. That's my problem with it. I can easily see Mace Windu surviving the fall, but my problem is, where was he during the original trilogy, during the Rebels, during Kenobi, during the Mandalorian, all that stuff. It'll need to be explained pretty well. Cole says, Mace and Baylan working together after the fall of the Jedi would be super badass. Imagine Mace Windu and Baylan Skoll? How sick would that be? How sick would that be? Incredible. Incredible. That'd be wild. Your pal Joe says, I would absolutely love to see Mace get his own show. Maul was cut in half and he came back, so Mace is most likely alive, and I'm all for it. Yeah, so here's the thing. When Darth Maul came back to life in the Clone Wars, it was different. It was very different, because a lot of fans loved Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace. And at the time, George Lucas still owned Star Wars, so they brought back Darth Maul in the Clone Wars. This was around 2009, 2010. And then Disney buys Star Wars, and they make the sequel trilogy. They bring back Palpatine. Then they bring back a lot of other characters. And the common conversation around characters coming back to life is, well, nobody's ever truly gone in Star Wars, and now Disney's kind of ruined that because they bring back all these characters, blah, 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 blah. So the conversation's kind of switched. Maul coming back versus Mace coming back are very different conversations, because when Maul came back, it was something really, really cool to happen. If Mace came back, it would be met with so much hate. So many fans would be so angry that yet another Star Wars character who had a great death in Revenge of the Sith came back to life. It would be a disaster. It would be a disaster. Yeah. I was so sad when he flew out that window. I know. Maggie says, okay, my brother randomly told me a thing about the Sith. When a Sith is killed, the darkness in him transfers into the one who he killed. My brother said maybe that is the reason that Anakin turned into the dark side. No, that's not the case. That might be something in Legends or something, but that's definitely not the case. Skywalker Academy says, I was hoping they'd use a little CGI to make Ewan look a little more like Alec Guinness after Vader got done with him on Mapuzo. That would be kind of cool, actually, to give a little combination of Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness to kind of mend the bridge gap between them. That'd be kind of cool. Here's my thing. I want to see more of Force Ghost Obi-Wan. I do. If that means that it has to be Ewan McGregor as Force Ghost Obi-Wan, I'm okay with that. If they want to do some sort of CG work where it looks like Alec Guinness, I'm okay with that too. But I do want to see more Force Ghost Obi-Wan. Yeah. I can't even say that he's wrong. Anakin kills Dooku, and maybe that's what pushes him a little further to the dark side. It could be, but he also has a lot of other things going on, you know? Jeffrey says, oh, I already read that, yeah. About Mace Windu being in Book of Boba Fett Season 2. That's a great point. He could be. Cole says, a little out of pocket, maybe, but wouldn't all of these massive buildings on Coruscant have some sort of force field to catch potential suicide jumpers? Oh, that's kind of dark, but it is a little out of pocket, I must say. But some sort of force field, I don't think so. I think in Star Wars, we've seen so many people fall out of big buildings or jump out of big buildings that I don't think that there is force fields around them. It's a good idea, though. Ypala Joe says, I think there is a really well-done fan-made Mace video on YouTube fighting off clone remnants. It looks so cool. Yeah, I think that's actually Star Wars theory, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, fans have always been speculating that Mace Windu has survived for years and years and years and years and years. It's just a matter of time before Disney says, yeah, he did. And he comes back. That would be insane. That would be insane. David, what's up, says, the Jedi say that they are peacekeepers, but come on, we clearly saw them fighting during the Clone Wars earlier in the war, not having any experience leading a clone army. Yeah, I mean, they're peacekeepers, but by the time of the Republic, they're not. They're really good at war. And that you actually see a lot of that begin in the High Republic books, if any of you guys read those. But yeah, by the time of the Republic, they're soldiers. The Clone Wars makes them soldiers. They're generals of the clone army. So they're no longer the peacekeepers. They're no longer the Jedi that they once were. And that's really what leads to the collapse of the Jedi Order. Yeah. And Qui-Gon saw that from a mile away. That's why Qui-Gon is the perfect Jedi. Can I get some good cups, follow orders in the chat, please? Bum-ba! Ypala Joe says, oh, what happened to your badge? Ypala Joe says, Mace went into exile similar to Yoda, is what I've always thought. Yeah, but wouldn't he try to come back and help out? Like he just goes into hiding forever? That would kind of be a bummer. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it. Fearless says, Mace went into hiding like every other Jedi because of Order 66. Yeah, but even the Jedi who went into hiding, like Kanan or Yoda or Obi-Wan, like we see them all later on down the line. I want to see Mace Windu, you know? And we don't. Ian says, Mace was the shining example of what went wrong during with the Jedi during the prequel era. Yes, he was. He was very evil, sort of, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Tony says, 18 watching and only 12 likes. What are we doing here? Like the freaking stream. What's going on? We only got 14 likes on the stream? What the? Jeffrey says, maybe Mace failed us. He should have been clapping. What? Oh, because Mace absolutely failed us. He should have been clapping Daddy Palp's butt, but nah. Anakin made him a skydiver instead. Okay. That was crazy, but yes. Skywalker Academy says, yeah, they could definitely use Ewan as old Ben Kenobi. He would appear to anyone that would recognize him. If he appeared to Luke, then there would be some recognition because he did research on facial structure. I'm confused. I think Ewan, kind of does look like Alec Guinness a little bit, but not nearly enough to sort of make that connection, yeah. Salty, what's up? What's up? Don't worry about Wookiee Talks. I was only just messing with you. Been doing a rewatch with my daughter of The Bad Batch Season 1 and 2. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, can't wait for this third season. It's going to be epic. It's going to be so good. It's going to be awesome. All right, so there's another thing coming from this exclusive from Empire Magazine about Ian McDiarmid. So let's talk about this, moving on from the Mace Windu thing. But I'll keep the Mace Windu thing open. As of right now, 79% of you do think that he survived, which is crazy. That's very, very high. Yeah. All right, let's read this one about Ian and what he said about his time as Palpatine. Ian McDiarmid discusses Palpatine's return, stating he's always had a plan B. Another snippet from Empire Magazine's latest issue. The esteemed actor Ian McDiarmid shares his thoughts about Palpatine's return in The Rise of Skywalker. Even though the topic has received many complaints and endless memes, of course, McDiarmid thinks it is in line with the character, stating that Palpatine always had a plan B. One positive aspect that Ian McDiarmid points out about Palpatine's return is that he is now a reoccurring theme throughout all the Star Wars movies, all the Skywalker saga, I should say. McDiarmid explains how that is an honor for him and how not many movie villains get that level of importance. Each trilogy gets a Palpatine. He says this. The thing that I am most pleased about, this only came to my head when they asked me to come back for The Rise of Skywalker, is that every single villain act in all of evil act, in all of the Star Wars franchise is either directly or indirectly down to that character, down to Palpatine. That is total evil, and it's strangely satisfying as an arc. I do feel fortunate to have been able to do it. The other villains in cinema now have to compete with that. It's true. Almost everything that has to do with the evil Empire or the First Order or the Republic in the Trade Federation, all of it has to do with Palpatine. All of it, indirectly or directly, is connected to Palpatine, which is wild. This is, of course, Sheev Palpatine himself. Regarding the Emperor's return, Ian McDiarmid shared how he himself thought the character was done for. But regardless of his or other personal opinions, he provided his dogenic explanation, as to how the character was able to come back. This is what he said. A lot of fans said it was ridiculous. Of course, he was dead at the end of Return of the Jedi. And frankly, I think George thought that he'd killed me too. But JJ thought it would be a good idea. I wasn't going to argue with him. I felt that Palpatine always had a plan B, and probably even a plan C, D, and E, and F as well. And he was an expert in cloning. So, I think this is a perfect example of why Palpatine always returned in the Legends and, of course, in canon as well. It makes sense. It just makes sense. Palpatine has always had a plan B. Here's the thing. Let's go full screen for this, because there's more to read. Let's go full screen for this. Palpatine has been planning out his sort of ruling the galaxy for decades. With Darth Plagueis, before he kills him, before the prequel trilogy and during the Phantom Menace. But he creates an entire galaxy-wide war in the Clone Wars where he's in charge of both sides. He's in charge of the Republic, and he's the Sith Lord in charge of the Trade Federation, or the Separatists, I should say. So, obviously, Palpatine had a lot of cloning going on at that time, which we're going to see in the Bad Batch as well. And then he gets Order 66 snaps into play. He controls the entire galaxy with the Galactic Empire. He creates the Death Star, he creates the second Death Star, and he eventually dies. Obviously, he's going to have a backup plan. If he does, in fact, die, if Vader was ever to turn on him, if Luke was ever successful in killing him, he would have a backup plan. And that's why in Legends, it always makes sense that he had a contingency plan, that he had cloning. It makes sense. The only problem in canon is that it was explained poorly. So Palpatine coming back always made sense. He always would have a plan B, C, D, and F, and whatever. That's always would have been the case. And that's why I agree with Ian in this instance. But let's keep reading. Finally, In a bit of humor, Ian McDiarmid was asked about whether or not the Empire actually gets it on, if he in fact has children, to which the award-winning thespian said, "Please don't pursue that line too vigorously, but yes, he does have sex. It's a horrible idea to think that Palpatine having sex in any shape or form, but then, of course, perhaps he didn't. Maybe it's all to do with the midichlorians, but don't ask me what those are. Never trust your granddaughter. That's a t-shirt Palpatine got made shortly after his death. The Palpatine family reunion is sure to be an awkward one." So obviously a few jokes in there. But what he does say, and what's actually interesting, is that Palpatine didn't create his son. His son is a clone of him. So Rey's not really a granddaughter. Whoa. Let's explain this. Rey is not a granddaughter of Palpatine. She's really kind of a daughter of Palpatine, because Palpatine's clone had Rey. So yeah. So Palpatine's not really related to Rey at all, except for the fact that his clone of himself had Rey. I know, right? Crazy. So it is quite funny that Ian would say something like this, but it makes sense. Yeah, it does make sense. And then it just goes on to say that in a few days, we'll get all these interviews on Thursday, which is cool. But there you have it. Ian McDiarmid, who did think that Palpatine did die in Return of the Jedi, does make sense that he would have a plan B or a plan C or a plan E. And he was always involved in cloning as well. So it would make sense that he would have a contingency plan in case he died. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says, when they casted Ewan, they did consider the bone structure of his face. Yeah, that does make sense. I have heard that before. David says, Grogu was in Order 66 Survivor 2 in Mando, which we saw flashbacks to of the Jedi saving Grogu, Killer and Beck, in Season 3 of Mando. When the Jedi brought back when Jedi, Beck, and Grogu are surrounded by Imperial clones. Yes, that is true. And then he follows up and says, in Legends, Palpatine created a Sparty clone trooper. Yeah, Palpatine did a ton of cloning in Legends, and obviously he does a ton of cloning in canon as well. That is not surprising that we're going to get a lot more cloning explanations in this third season of The Bad Batch. Yeah. Salty says, Ian was great in The Rise of Skywalker. The story for it, however, was completely trash. I wouldn't say complete trash, but it definitely had its holes, we'll put it that way, put it nicely. But yeah, Ian's performance was incredible. Palpatine, the grand influencer. If he was on Earth, he would be called that, yeah. Of course he wouldn't argue with JJ. He got paid. Yeah, he did, for sure. Gross, Palpatine was knocking boots with some Sith's cake. No, he was not. He was cloning himself to make more babies, I guess. Ian says, I'm sure I saw somewhere that Sheev has a canon mistress. I don't think so. I mean, maybe before he turned into the Emperor Palpatine that we know, but I don't think so. The connection of the two, Rey and Palpatine, was far stretch and not well written. It's true. And although it is explained, it's not like explained well, you know? You know? Tony, what's up? Says, when you take a step back and consider the entire Skywalker saga, it becomes clear that Palpatine utilized the Skywalkers, Jedi, clones, and various commercial clans to execute his ultimate plan. His execution was flawless and carried out with great sensory? Sure, whatever. Yeah, Palpatine's plan was planned out for decades, and also it kind of was involving everybody. Like you said, it involved the Jedi, it involved the Skywalkers, it involved the clones, and even crime syndicates of the time, and commercial clans, like you said as well, with the Trade Federation. So it's possible that Palpatine, although he planned all the stuff with the prequels and the original trilogy, that he also planned the sequels as well. It would only make sense to continue that character arc. Tony follows up and says, in contrast to all the great Sith before him, Palpatine was the most powerful without having to kill people himself, but rather by manipulating others to do his own bidding. Truly stunning. Yeah, he was smart like that. Because all Sith before him would just go out and kill people themselves to show their power. And that's not what Palpatine would do. He was definitely the genius of it all, for sure. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says, Jabeam was the planet I was thinking of with the confrontation with Vader. Jabeam was? No, isn't the planet where they fight again like Valor or something? Starts with a V, I think. See you later, Catherine. Don't worry about it. Did Sheev like to fly unsheathed? Maybe. David says, the fact that Omega had a clone sister came as a shock to me. In fact, Omega and her clone sister likely have a connection. Oh, 100%. The fact was, Omega was the only female clone at the time, and that was shocking. And now that she has a sister, it's like, what's going on there? Jabeam is the one with the hidden path, I think. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So were they first? Yeah. When he walks down the street and he's snapping people's necks and dragging people along the ground. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. I haven't watched it for the 15th time yet. So yeah, there you go. You got to get on that. All right, we got two other pretty big news stories. I know, today's just a crazy news week, or news day for news for Star Wars. We had the whole Bad Batch thing, of course, with the reviews. We had Samuel L. Jackson. We had Mace Windu's not dead. We had Ian McDiarmid talking about Palpatine. We got some Mandalorian and Grogu news as well, as this movie is going to begin filming very soon. I mean, not very soon, but, soon. So let's read this article from Star Wars Newsnet. This is about the Mandalorian and Grogu reportedly eyeing a June production start date. So let's read this. Collider is back with a new report on the scheduling of the current Star Wars lineup. After saying on Saturday that the Acolyte will be coming out during the summer. We'll talk about that in a second, don't worry. I got an article pulled up next for that. They are now claiming that a source close to the production of The Mandalorian and Grogu told them that the film will start filming in the summer, specifically in June. If you've been following the latest Star Wars online rumors, then you might have seen online that Production Weekly has posted that June 17th is the start date for The Mandalorian and Grogu, which definitely aligns with what Collider is saying. Timing-wise, this also makes sense. There was some speculation recently that the movie kicking off into pre-production in February, which would make sense for a start date of June. We talked about this as well, how the makeup design artist and the other person were getting their bags packed or something, and they posted it online, and it seemed like they might be getting ready for a new Star Wars thing. Do you guys remember that? We talked about that on stream a few weeks ago. So that could have been really selling us that it is going into pre-production in February, which is now. So pre-production is a few months, and then production or filming for the movie is going to start in June. There is the issue of Pedro Pascal's schedule, which is pretty big. This isn't a super reliable test, but the actor could simply voice the title character and not even show up on set at all, which he did for the season 3. But it'll be wise to assume that he'd at least try to be on set for a couple weeks. From reports, we know that the actor will be tied up until at least early to mid-June, as he's lined up for The Last of Us Season 2 in mid-February, so sometime in March, and then Ari Aster's Eddington, which goes up until March 11th. And he's currently in negotiations to star in Celine Song's Materialists, a new rom-com that starts shooting in May. Marvel's Fantastic Four is apparently going up in late summer/early fall as well. So he's got a lot of projects lined up here. He just came off of Gladiator 2. He's going right into Last of Us Season 2, and he's got a lot more projects clearly lined up after that. A release date is not set for The Mandalorian and Grogu, although Disney CEO Bob Iger did confirm recently that it will come out in 2026. So if everything goes as planned, we should be getting this into the movie theaters on May 22nd, 2026. Although that's definitely seems like a lot of time for post-production. It is true. If it begins filming in June of this year, then you'll have at least a year of post-production, which is good. That's what you need. Besides Pedro Pascal returning, we don't know of any actors that are currently coming back for the feature film. Still, we can safely assume that stunt doubles Brandon Wayne and Lateef Crowder will be donning the suit. And given how season 3 went, Katie Sackhoff coming back as Bo-Katan also seems like a good bet. The question becomes, will Carl Weathers' untimely passing affect the production? I actually don't think this will affect the production. I think they will probably kill his character off screen like we talked about before. But what do you guys think about this? This is going into production in June, which is great. And actually, who do you guys think will show up in The Mandalorian and Grogu? I think it will be a story following, obviously, Din and Grogu, but like, will characters like Harrison Dula show up and Ezra Bridger? And will we see people like Luke Skywalker or Leia or will we go to Coruscant and see Mon Mothma or other characters like that? Like, how far are we going to go with this? Because I definitely think that Thrawn will be involved. I definitely think we'll see the whole mighty threat that Thrawn is with his Night Sisters and his army of the remnant of the Empire. But I don't know. Who do you guys think will... Who do you want to see the most, let's put it that way, in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? What do we think? What do we think? Skywalker Academy. Oh, sorry. Salty Texas Ranger says, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Horrible name. It's growing on me. I mean, I don't hate it. It's not the greatest name they probably could have came up with, but it makes the most sense, you know? Yeah. Why come up with something creative until... Wait, why come up with something creative until it's almost done? So you think it's going to change title names, Skywalker Academy? Why come up with something creative that you could use on another project that more people will watch? Oh, I don't know about that. I think The Mandalorian and Grogu is going to make billions upon billions of dollars. I can't imagine the Fantastic Four movie is going to do well. I actually disagree. Fantastic Four is one of Marvel's biggest IPs. Their biggest characters are Spider-Man, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. Probably in that order. And Fantastic Four was done so dirty back in 2016 or 2018, whenever that Miles Teller one came out. It was horrible. So I do think that they'll get this one right. But yeah. Fearless says, that woman that's always babysitting Grogu all the time. I forgot her name. Oh yeah, Pelimoto. Pelimoto, you think Pelimoto will be in this Mando and Grogu movie? Do you guys think Boba Fett will be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? What about Boba Fett? I think he will. And here's why. Tamara Morrison was vocal about not being in the Mandalorian's third season, about how Mando got to show up in his show, but he didn't get to show up in Mando's show. I think that Boba Fett will definitely be in this movie because a lot of fans were upset that Tamara Morrison wasn't in that. So I'd love to see him. Yeah, for sure. The Frog Lady? I don't know if she'll show up. Yeah. Tony says, I think it's Pelimoto. Yeah, it is Pelimoto. Maggie says, I wonder if Luke will show up again. I think Luke will show up again, but I don't know if he will in the Mando and Grogu movie. I think they might be saving him for Dave Filoni's movie, which would be very interesting. She has to be in Boba 2. Oh, she has to be in the movie in Boba 2. I do think Boba will definitely be in the movie. Yeah, for sure. What? Dave says, the Clone Wars movie was decent, but we know why the movie has issues. The animation was bad and did flop. Wait, what? And did flop. People were hoping, unfortunately, let's hope that the new Mando film does well. I think the new Mando film is going to do unbelievably well. The Clone Wars movie was kind of weird because you had 2 trilogies of Star Wars movies, which were all incredible. Then you got a Clone Wars movie. Like, people were kind of confused by that. Yeah. Salty says, I want Cara Dune. That seems highly unlikely. We did talk about how Gina Carano is suing Lucasfilm and Disney, but that will take probably years to iron out, and she probably won't be coming back anytime soon, if she comes back at all. So, yeah. I want Dengar. Dengar would be cool, because Dengar, at this time, is still alive, I think. Yeah, it would be cool to see some other bounty hunters like that. Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, let's dive into this Acolyte news. Let's do it. Let's dive into this Acolyte news. Ooh, Cal Kestis. Cal Kestis would be cool. So the Acolyte is getting a release window, okay? So we talked about this before because the Bad Batch ends at the beginning of May. So when's the next Star Wars project? And it's going to be Acolyte, and it's going to be in the summer. So this comes from Collider. Star Wars The Acolyte sets summer 2024 release window. So here's what we got. High Republic fans, the wait just got that much more bearable. Ever since releasing its first trailer at Star Wars Celebration in London last year, the hype for the series, The Acolyte, has only grown. The fans eager for an update on the highly anticipated project. Now Collider has learned that the live-action High Republic set story from creator Leslie Headland is set to release on Disney Plus this summer. Set 50 years before the events of The Phantom Menace. Is it only 50? I thought it was 150. Huh. I don't know. But set 50 years before the events of The Phantom Menace. So this is the first live-action show before The Phantom Menace. Yes. Okay. The Acolyte will follow a former Jedi Padawan and her one-time master as they fall into an investigation of sinister crimes in the ever-changing galaxy. The trailer that premiered at Star Wars Celebration only gave fans a hint of what they could expect when the series premieres, but even so, already impressed those lucky enough to see it with the bold visual takes on the era that thus far have not appeared on screen. So the people who got to see this trailer at Star Wars Celebration really hyped it up. They said it was incredible, and we got to. If you've seen this trailer, which I have, because it got leaked online, you see a lot of Jedi in the trailer, and that's really, really cool. Like a lot of different lightsabers, a lot of Jedi. It's cool. The series also boasts a massive and massively talented ensemble cast led by Amandla Steinberg. It's joined by Squid Game star Lee Jang-cha as a Jedi Master and Jonas Stamos, I don't know how to say his name, as a Wookiee Jedi named Kelnaka. Also, in the Acolyte cast are Jodie Turner-Smith, Mandy Jinko, and Charlie Barnett, though in typical Star Wars fashion, details about their roles are heavily under wraps. So it's very different from other Star Wars series before. Usually Star Wars doesn't involve big name actors as the leads of their shows. You have big name actors in Star Wars, like we just talked about Samuel L. Jackson in the prequel trilogy, but he was Mace Windu. He wasn't the biggest character there was. He wasn't even like a top 5 main character. Then you have like Alec Guinness, who was Obi-Wan, and he was killed off in the first movie. But the main cast of Luke, Leia, and Han were all kind of unknown actors. Same thing with the sequel trilogy. But the Acolyte is different. So the Acolyte has some connections to the High Republic books. Less under wraps, and perhaps most exciting exciting to fans of the High Republic books was the news that Rebecca Henderson, initially announced to play a Jedi, Merlin Jedi, would in fact be playing an older version of Venestra Rowe. So Venestra is a character from the High Republic, and she's seen, I guess, in this animated show. I'm not too sure, but she is in the books as well. One of the most prominent characters in Phase 1 and 3 books of the High Republic is an all-around fan favorite. The inclusion of Venestra is an exciting one, not just because of the connection to the books, but because of what such an inclusion might spell out for fans of both the books and the character in her on-screen and on-page interactions. Headland told Collider at Celebration that the series would not be kind to the Jedi. Interesting. And would call not be kind to the Jedi, and would call a fallability of the institution into question, which is interesting because we see the fall of the Jedi in the prequel trilogy. With all the struggles Vanestra has already been through, and those she still has to face, there are probably few characters better suited to tackle the imperfections of the Jedi Order from the inside. The Acolyte will premiere on Disney Plus in the summer of 2024. Stay tuned for more information. This is interesting. The series won't be kind to the Jedi. What does that really mean? Like the Jedi are falling apart already? That'll be interesting. Yeah. But summer for the Acolyte. That's great news. That means it's probably, the summer starts on June 21st. Could come out in June, could come out in July. It's probably going to be earlier in the summer, I think, because that's going to be a pretty big gap between the end of the Bad Batch and then the beginning of the Acolyte. So hopefully it comes out sooner rather than later. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Are you guys excited for the Acolyte? Is that something that excites you? The Acolyte? Is that a project that everybody's looking forward to, or what? What do we think? I think it's really cool because it's going to be Sith-centered. It's the first ever Sith-centered show. We could see Plagueis possibly. We're going to see a lot of new Jedi characters. And it's before the prequel trilogy, in a time where we really have never been in Star Wars other than in novels and stuff. And even then, we haven't been in this time period that the Acolyte takes place in. It'll be very interesting. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Skywalker Academy says, the only way that we are getting Gina Carano as Cara Dune is if she apologizes and shows that she learned her lesson from not listening to her employer when she alienated the fans. Wonderful girl. Oh, that's a little bit mean. She's a sweetheart. Okay. I agree. I think that she will have to make a public apology. That'll definitely be something that is in the clause if she does get to come back. But I'd love to see her come back. That character's awesome, and clearly she was missing in season 3 of Manda. David says, the Clone Wars TV show was always better than the movie since the show actually eventually got better after the first season. I did not like Ahsoka back then, but over the years, she grew a lot as a character. Yeah, she starts out, again, like I said earlier in the stream, she starts out as a whiny little baby and ends up as one of the coolest characters in Star Wars. It's called character arc. Yeah. Salty Texas Ranger says, I am not interested in anything with Leslie Headland writing and directing. It will be a exercise in humiliation for all of us. Yeah, there's that whole thing with Leslie Headland, and I'm not the biggest fan of her. But again, what she is and what the show is are going to be completely different things. So I'm still very excited for the show, even though that she is the head of the show. And I hope she proves us all wrong, because, yeah, for sure. Salty says, how about Brie Larson for Avar Kriss? I would love to see Avar Kriss in live action, but Brie Larson, no thanks. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think she looks the part, really. And Brie's blonde, but she's not like that blonde. Like Avar Kriss is blonde, you know? So Skywalker Academy says, I was thinking Brie would be a great shoot. Who was I thinking she played well? I can't remember now. I shouldn't have wrote this down. Okay. Oh, you should have wrote that down. Okay. Yeah. Ranger Salty says, no excitement here for me. Damn it. Fearless says, yes, I'm waiting for it to drop. Hopefully soon after Bad Batch Season 3. Also, with the Acolyte, there is a second season already. Acolyte's already confirmed to get a second season. So regardless of how good this first season is, which hopefully it's really good, there already will be a second season. Maggie says, what even is an Acolyte? I'm sorry if I spelt it wrong. Don't worry about it. It just has a Y instead of an I, but yeah. And Tony says, Sith Acolyte was a rank within the Sith Order prior to Darth Bane's reformation. Yes. So an Acolyte of the Sith is kind of like a follower of the Sith almost, because Sith Lords are different than the Acolytes, yeah. Acolyte, a person assisting... What? Acolyte is a person assisting the celebrate in a religion service. I think that's like the more earthbound definition. In terms of using it to refer as a Force-sensitive apprentice who has only just started down a dark path. Yeah, I think that's kind of more what it's like. So they're not a Sith yet, but they're learning to become a Sith. I think I was thinking about the one of the characters in James Mangold's Origin of the Jedi movie. Oh, maybe. Maybe. All right, let's see. Do we have any other Star Wars news that we want to get to today? We talked about Ian. We talked about Samuel L. Jackson. We talked about the Bad Batch. Bad Batch reviews. We got to that already. Actually, let's see if this is a little bit different. We talked about it on Saturday, but for those of you who weren't here, The Phantom Menace is releasing into theaters on May 3rd. Yeah, May 3rd. Is re-releasing into theaters on May 3rd. So go get your tickets. It's in select theaters so around the world, so you got to check for a theater near you. I'm definitely going to see it on May 3rd. That's going to be awesome, seeing The Phantom Menace on the big screen, seeing the Duel of the Fates on the big screen. That's going to be so good. Brandon, what's up, Brandon? Says, if Tech returns and is alive in The Bad Batch Season 3, then could he return with a new appearance as a cyborg like Echo? Ooh, interesting. If Tech survives, which I don't want him to, but if he did survive, then I hope he comes back as like an evil clone, or not clone, but evil version of Tech. Like he's been manipulated with an inhibitor chip or something like that. Or maybe he's a cyborg too, like Echo is. Maybe. But I honestly just want to keep him dead. For now. Let's just keep him dead. Why not? Yeah. Alright, let's see if this has anything different here. Any different reviews. We read that one. We read that one. We did not read this one. All right, let's read this one. So this is another review for the Bad Batch first 8 episodes from somebody who got to see the first 8 episodes. So we read these other ones from these other people, but this one's coming from the Colliders, Maggie. Maggie, in the chat? Maggie, is this you? Maggie, who appeared to agree with the consensus of Season 3 being the best yet, and also pointed out that the show has a darker turn and described huge ties to Star Wars lore. So this is what they had to say. Maggie says, I've seen the first 8 episodes of The Bad Batch, and it's truly a case of they saved the best for last. Season 3 is the best yet for the series, and a much darker turn. Lots of twists, lots of heart, fun returns, interesting, and some huge Star Wars lore connection. So fun returns could be referring to Fennec Shand, Cad Bane, Asajj Ventress. We saw them all in the trailer, but it also could be referring to Gungi, who's returning from the previous season, or Harrison Dula, who would be returning from the previous season as well. So it could be returns like that, but we don't know for now. We read Jordan's. I don't think we read this one. Oh, this is Jordan's extended one, maybe? Truly wild as I was about as disinterested in the Bad Batch as one could get when it was announced. Clone-centric story never worked for me in the Clone Wars. Now, I'm in the back half of this season. If the back half of this season sticks the landing, it easily will be my favorite Star Wars animated show. Okay, here's one we didn't read either. Cinema Blends Adam Holmes said this. Having seen the first 8 episodes of The Bad Batch, Season 3, I'm pleased to say that this show's final hurrah is off to a great start. Fans of Omega and Crosshair especially have a lot to look forward to, and as per usual, the action and emotional beats are balanced wonderfully. So Crosshair has become a fan favorite character, so that's good to hear, and I think they're setting up Omega for something, hopefully for a future show or something along those lines, but we'll see. Yeah. This person we also didn't read. So this person, Aubrey Dreamed of Magic, said, buckle up for The Bad Batch Season 3. In a dark twist and some action-packed storytelling, this heartfelt show picks up right where it left off with gusto, featuring some notable lore and fun cameos. Fantastic fantastic in visuals and sound. Shout out to Kevin Kiner. I can't wait to see more. What's actually interesting about this one is it says the show picks up from where it left off with gusto. Now, is that just referring to like how the show is where it's picking up where it left off, or is it mean like it's starting directly after where season 2 ended? Because we don't really know about the time period of season 3 in correlation to season 2, but we do know that Hunter says in the trailer that Omega's been waiting for us for a long, long time. We also didn't read this one either. The Nerdists, Eric says this: the first half of the final season of The Bad Batch, episode 1 through 8, are very solid. Great character arc for Crosshair in particular. And I don't care, I'm always down to hear Ian McDiarmid as Emperor Palpatine for as long as he's alive and willing. I agree with that statement, so get him as much as you can. But yeah, that's good to hear as well. Did we read this one? No, we didn't. This is coming from Adam Blevins from Agents of Fandom. He said, The Bad Batch Season 3 had some of the best animated Star Wars ever. It strikes the perfect balance between Adventure of the Week and the overarching story. This is the second person to say this. So it's balancing perfectly the Adventure of the Weeks type stuff, or the filler episodes, like people like to call them, and the overarching story. It's really grounded in its characters, but it's also very clearly building towards something huge. The first 8 episodes are fantastic. Building towards something huge is very interesting, because I don't know what this final battle is going to look like. I really don't. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess. The Gizmondo, James Whitbrook, said this: I've seen the first 8 episodes of The Bad Batch Season 3, and it's definitely a very strong start. Shows finally struck a balance of weaving each episode, even inconsequential stuff, into the wider climax of these characters. Intrigued to see more. Review to come next week. That's good to hear. Critic Michael Lee also had this to say: so The Bad Batch Season 3 is marching towards an epic finale. The first 8 episodes are a great exploration of their fractured dynamics and a test of their trust as a squad. It's got some great action sequences and some Easter eggs that tease that exciting future of Star Wars. Again, this is probably referring to the stuff that other people were talking about with The Mandalorian and Rise of Skywalker, which is wild. We already watched that clip, so we won't watch it now. There's some pretty good, there's not a single negative one here, which is great news. So, it's just great. Ventress is a Sith Acolyte? Yeah, I think so. I'm starting to lose my voice now. Getting annoyed. Brandon says, oh, I already read that. Maggie says, have they said what theaters it's going to be in? I don't think so. I think as it gets closer, probably in like March or April, they will give us the select theaters that The Phantom Menace will be in. So, no, not yet. Skywalker Academy says, she didn't say anything. Oh, yeah. David says, the Ahsoka show is one Star Wars media from Disney canon I'm hoping to watch it since it's free on Disney+. But The Bad Batch is on my watch list as usual. Have you not watched either of those? Have you not watched Ahsoka, David? Go watch Ahsoka immediately. Tech lives on as a clone Force ghost. Yeah. I never see my name anywhere. Hello, fellow Maggie. There you go. Salty says, okay, all. Which actress could be convincingly cast as Omega? Well, Tamara Morrison in a wig would be perfect. I don't know. I really don't. I'm not too good at the whole casting thing. Brandon says, speaking of new trailers, why didn't Lucasfilm drop the Acolyte teaser trailer like Deadpool and Wolverine did on the Super Bowl Sunday? That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe because they didn't want to spend $7 million to do that, even though, yeah, I feel like they didn't have to do that. Like, the Star Wars fandom's going to watch it anyway, and a lot of Star Wars fans aren't really football fans, so that might be also why. Yeah. Fearless says, what if we see Snoke's creation, or better yet, he's already alive in The Bad Batch? That would be insane. If we got to see Snoke already, that would be wild. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says, what age would Omega be casted at? Let's go Mandoverse time period. So she'd be like 30, 40, something like that. Cole says, I just came back and we're talking about Tamara Morrison in a wig to play Omega. Yep. I love both football and Star Wars. Thank you very much. Me too, Cole, but not everybody does, you know? Actually, you'd be surprised at how many people don't. I posted a Star Wars Super Bowl meme on Twitter and Instagram, if you guys saw that. It was pretty funny when Travis Kelce was yelling at his coach, Andy Reid, and it was just like a Revenge of the Sith meme, whatever. And I lost so many followers, like so many. It was crazy. People didn't like it. Not a lot of football fans there. So I don't know. The more you know. Guess I won't make that mistake again. Yeah, I thought it was funny. Yeah. All right, let's end this poll. Let's see what you guys think about Mace Windu coming back. 75%, well, that math is clearly not mathing. 75% of you guys do think that Mace Windu is alive. To 23 not, but the math is not mathing. Skywalker Academy says, I want Omega to appear after The Mandalorian Season 3, but I'm not sure if that will happen. I don't know if it will happen either. A lot will be told if she survives past this third season. See, this is perfect. Perfect. We got somebody trying to come in, and they didn't make it. Fantastic. And we'll just ignore them. Football is boring like a bantha. Okay. Has the math ever been mathing? Yes. It actually has, I think, once. And it was because, like, everybody, or there was, like, a perfect amount of, I don't remember why. But, yes. I mean, it maths perfectly when it was, when it's 100%. But, yeah. And for you guys' information, the person who tried to come in here, their name was Curie. And they just said nobody gives a flying fuck. So guess what? Nobody gives a flying fuck that you said that. Boom roasted. Emma Stone for Omega? There you go. I don't think she really looks like Omega, but yes. Let's do it. I don't think they're going to leave us thinking Omega is dead. So true fan can speculate her revival. Yeah, true fans. That's funny. I don't think they'll give. I don't think Omega's dying. I don't think so. So, I think we will be seeing more Omega, hopefully in live action, but probably in animation. Yeah, for sure. All right, I think we're gonna get on out of here. We've gone for almost 2 hours, and my voice is going away very quickly here. So I'm gonna get on out of here. I'm still editing that Mace Windu video, so that will come out tomorrow. So watch that for like 12 p.m. probably Eastern Standard Time, if not 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That Mace Windu video. Let's go watch that video. Let's go push that video out to all the people in the world. And let's get that going because that's going to be a good one for sure. David says, I've watched The Bad Batch, so there I am informed. I can show... I love that show. Also, don't worry, after I watch Rebels, like I did in 2020, that's a great show. By the way, I will watch Ahsoka, but... I come on, Ahsoka is relatable? But come on, Ahsoka is relatable? I'm confused. So you haven't watched Ahsoka, but you watched the other two. Go watch Ahsoka. Brandon says, could Omega meet Boba Fett in The Bad Batch Season 3? Or is bringing Boba Fett too much fan service like Ventress, Cad Bane, and Fennec? I think Boba Fett could be involved, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't. You know? So... do I think it's fan service? No, absolutely not. I think if he is there, it will make sense because he's a clone just like Omega, just like the rest of them. It would make sense for him to be there. But if he's not there, I won't be too surprised. Maggie says, has there ever been a poll that's been 50-50? No, we've never been right down the middle. We've been like 48-52 and around there, but no, never 50-50. And I guess it wasn't 48-52 because that would be the math is mathing. So it would be like 53-48. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. All right. I think we're going to get on out of here. You guys, the absolute best. What a crazy day for Star Wars news. Honestly, like that was insane. We went over so much news today. It was wild. We went over the reviews for Season 3 of The Bad Batch. We got hyped up for the Season 3 of The Bad Batch. We talked all about what could possibly happen in Season 3 of The Bad Batch. We talked about Samuel L. Jackson, Mace Windu returning. We talked about Ian McDermott and how Palpatine has sex. We talked about The Mandalorian and Grogu starting production in June. We talked about The Acolyte coming out this summer. We did it all today. We did it all today. We really did. It was a W stream, for sure. Boba and Cad Bane shootout when they have Omega and Crosshair captive. Bounty Hunter special. That would be cool. That would be cool to see that actually in full animation. Would be awesome. All right. I appreciate all you guys so much. Smash a freaking like on this video if you like it. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. Yeah.
I got a bad feeling about this.
And may the force be with you. Always. Oh yeah! What a great stream. What a great show. This was like one of my favorite streams ever. I had a lot of fun, and I wasn't feeling that great this morning either, and I didn't have a voice this morning either, so it was great. It was awesome. It was fantastic. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, a great rest of your lives. I'll see you tomorrow in that video, and I'll see you Thursday in that crazy stream when that whole Empire magazine gets released. And good night, everybody.